So let me talk about the Stupa. By the way, as I've been sending emails to people about this event, generally Siri translated either as the stupor or the stupid. Are you going to visit the stupid? So, but here we are. Why have a stupa? Well, of course, no one knows why I have it. But one of the things that's true about Spirit Rock, and that I have wanted and shared with colleagues and so forth, is to have people understand that it's different than a workshop place. Although I love Esalen and I spent a lot of time there, thank you. This is a Buddhist center that rests on 2,600 years of extraordinary tradition and teachings and practices and reminders. And so we have, of course, Buddhas and Kuan Yins and the great big stone Buddha, and we have tankas and beautiful, Buddhist paintings and art. And right outside this door, there's that very large Kuan Yin that is a copy of the Chinese one that's in the Nelson Museum in Kansas City, that is one of the greatest works of Buddhist art in the world. And I was in Bali, and I found one of the most celebrated artists and carvers, showed him a picture, and I said, "Can you make one for us?" And he smiled. He said, "That would be a pleasure," And he did. He got his best carvers and painters. And then we can't send it yet. We have to get all the priests to come and bless it and wake up its eyes and heart and things. So she's there blessing you as you come in. So we have all these things around, and they're here, the prayer wheel that's there and so forth, because we want to remind people who come that they're part of this ancient spiritual tradition. Not to become Buddhist, thank you, but to become Buddhist, as our dear teachers spoke to us, to remember what's possible. And stupas they're ancient, they're pre-Buddhist. They go way, way back in India. And then when the Buddha died, they put a mound and a stupa over his relics, and they sent them out. He said, send them in these 8 directions, and they made more. You go to Burma, and there's this Shwedagon that's as big as the Eiffel Tower, all covered with gold, and inside is the Buddha's walking stick and some of his hair, they say. Who knows, right? All of this is... But anyway, a stupa is basically a reminder, and it's also a representation of the Buddha. And when we go down, you'll see that I borrowed from the Tibetan tradition because I so love it. You know the stupas in Nepal that have those eyes that look, and that kind of funny circular nose. And they have them as a representation that the stupa is a Buddha in some way, or it's a representation of the awakened heart and mind. So I put one on there for the fun of it. It's all made up, everything. This is just how it works, right? So we might as well make it up. Good. The base is the lion throne. The body is the treasure vase. It carries the heart of the Buddha, and it's going to have all these things inside. The 4 directions and the elements, there's a great deal of kind of archetypal symbology in it. There's a beautiful book by Lama Anagarika Govinda, who wrote about stupas. There's a protector, and then the eyes, and then inside, in this one, today we will put, and we'll be adding some things, the ashes of Ajahn Chah, of some of our teachers, the ashes of Ram Dass, some of the threads from the blanket of Ram Dass's guru, Neem Karoli Baba, relics that we've received from people in the Buddhist world, a golden Buddha from the Dalai Lama who said, put this into your stupa, water from the river Ganges, right near Sarnath, where the Buddha turned the wheel, and the earth at Sarnath, from where he presumably first taught the Dharma, and the entire Buddhist Pali canon in English and in Pali, on a thumb drive in a little Kuan Yin is saying, course, baby, we're in an electronic era, right? We put it all in there. We don't have to do the books and so forth. There will also be these little glass stupas which have the ashes of some of our beloved teachers, Wes Nisker, Anna Douglas, people who've died. And part of it was also a bit like, what are we going to do with our ashes, or how do we memorialize? There's room in there for you as community members if you put your name on the waiting list. And Lord 𝐼𝐚𝐲𝐬, the Lord of Death, has actually got you in his calendar anyway. So, you know, it's all possible. And then there are these texts, and I looked up, there's like dozens of texts about stupas, right? And the Karma Vibhanga stupa says there's 108 blessings of having a stupa, 108 of everything, whatever. But just by joining your palms in the vicinity of the stupa, or touching it, or any gesture of reverence, not to speak of circumambulating it, you will inevitably overcome all suffering. You will increase your well-being and that of those that you love. You will be endowed with wisdom and endowed with compassion. And having made those gestures, you will carry these blessings everywhere, things like that. And it just goes on and on. I've got, anybody want to read, I've got pages and pages of the blessings for you. Cheap, right? Well, we haven't discussed that, actually, but something like that. And maybe coming to Spirit Rock is that actually the stupa is part of what it means to come into the sacred space of a retreat center where people generally, you know, sitting and walking silently on retreat, eating silently in the mindfully in the dining hall. My daughter and her friends, when they were little, called it, "Are the zombies going to be walking today?" Right? So there's that. But there's something about having been here that's now part of you. It's kind of blessings that you carry. You're part of community, part of what's happened, part of what you just shared and learned. You also know that there's something bigger than the current political tragedies and suffering. There is a sense of the mystery of being alive, of consciousness itself. And you know it. You've all had that experience of sitting with someone when they were dying, and that moment when spirit leaves the body, and now it's just a corpse. And it's silent like a falling star, but something happens, and you're not your body. You're that consciousness. Or you've been there at the birth of a child, and you go, wow, another human being coming to try this realm. I mean, it's an extraordinary thing. How you look at all these people walking down this, they all came out of a woman's body. Okay, I'm here. You know, I grew in here, and now I'm going to come out, pop out, you too, right? It's wild. Or walking in the high mountains, or making love, or taking your psychedelics. I know you did, because I took some with you, right? Or meditating, or listening to extraordinary music that transports you, and the whole sense of yourself opens, and you realize, I'm not this separate self at all, that who I am is so much bigger than this. In fact, who you are is consciousness itself. You're not this body or these feelings. They come and go. You are awareness. You are consciousness. And when you start to realize that, it becomes the gateway to freedom, to liberation for you. And tremendous joy in the middle of it all.